Welcome to the Tenda's Movie channel. Enjoy watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.
One day, a man named Taejung hurried to grab his motorcycle to chase someone. Taejung then tried to stop a yellow car used by the man he was pursuing. It turned out that Taejung wanted to take revenge on that man because he had ruined his life. The story then moves backward to show Taejung's life when he was still living normally. At that time, Taejung worked as a food delivery courier. One day, a woman deliberately damaged the food that was supposed to be delivered by Taejung's co-worker. Unwilling to stay silent, Taejung chased the culprit who escaped using her boyfriend's sports car. With his excellent riding skills, Taejung managed to stop the car carrying the culprit. Due to Taejung's demands, the culprit's boyfriend agreed to pay compensation for the damaged food. Taejung then transferred the compensation money to his co-worker, and the problem was finally resolved. After that, Taejung met his younger sibling named Taejin. It turned out that Taejung had been working hard to support Taejin because their mother had passed away. Taejung then asked Taejin to focus on studying because he would soon face important school exams. After finishing work, Taejung arranged plants together with his friends. This moment revealed that Taejung owned a plant shop business. After arranging the plants, Taejung chatted with Suji, who also took part in the activity. It turned out that Suji was Taejung's kind and understanding girlfriend. Day by day continued until Taejung took some time to eat during his working hours. Taejung then accidentally found a ringing phone near his location. When he answered the call, Taejung spoke with a woman named Naeong. It turned out that Naeong was looking for her lost phone, and the phone had now been found by Taejung. At first, Taejung refused to deliver Naeong's phone because he was busy. However, after Naeong promised a fairly high payment, Taejung eventually changed his mind. After that, Taejung arrived at the location chosen by Naeong, which was near a tunnel. Seeing that the tunnel was quiet and seemed prone to crime, Taejung suggested returning the phone to Naeong's house instead. However, Naeong refused because she felt uncomfortable having a stranger visit her home. Following Naeong's request, Taejung placed the phone inside an emergency call box in the tunnel. Taejung then took the payment money that Naeong had prepared inside the box. Just before leaving the tunnel, Taejung was almost hit by a truck that had been parked at the location for some time. Time passed until Taejung was suddenly arrested by the police. Taejung was then informed that he had become a suspect in a rape and murder case. It did not take long for the news of Taejung's arrest to attract intense public attention. The reason was that the victim's body was found in a mutilated condition. Because of this, Taejung was considered a cruel murderer. During the interrogation, the police showed Taejung a photo of the victim, who was a woman in her 20s. Taejung firmly stated that he did not know and had never met the woman. Most importantly, Taejung swore that he was not the perpetrator. While in detention, Taejung was visited by his friends. Taejung was shocked to learn that his personal information had been leaked on social media. After that, it was Suji's turn to visit Taejung. Once again, Taejung emphasized that he was not the culprit. Suji believed Taejung's statement because all this time Taejung had been a good person who spent his days working. Some time later, Taejung underwent his first trial as a defendant in the rape and murder case. According to several pieces of evidence presented by the prosecutor, Taejung used a suitcase to move the victim's mutilated body to a river area. Furthermore, Taejung dismembered the victim in the bathroom of an empty apartment unit. A rape charge also emerged because semen believed to belong to Taejung was found inside the victim's body. Shockingly, the victim turned out to be Naeong, the woman whom Taejung had previously helped with a lost phone issue. In the end, the lawyer could no longer defend him because all the evidence strongly confirmed Taejung's status as the perpetrator. After that, Suji visited Taejung, who still believed he was not guilty. As a bit of background, Taejung and Suji had long worn identical bracelets as a symbol of their romantic relationship. Suji then became suspicious because Taejung's bracelet was found at the dismemberment site. Her suspicion grew stronger when Taejung was no longer wearing the bracelet and claimed that it was lost. Suji finally removed her own bracelet and left Taejung with deep disappointment. After the judge delivered a guilty verdict, Taejung was imprisoned in a penitentiary called Gwan. As a new inmate, Taejung was assigned a public defender named Sangrak. In Sangrak's view, there were irregularities in Taejung's case. For example, law enforcement showed an attitude of not considering other possibilities, as if everything had already been arranged. Taejung then remembered that his bracelet had fallen at Taejin's boarding house. Now Sangrak planned to look for the bracelet because it could be evidence that Taejung was innocent. After that, the inmates dragged Taejung to a former gangster boss named Doksu. It turned out that Doksu was now the leader of the inmates. In response to Doksu's question, Taejung admitted that he had been sentenced to life imprisonment. Doksu himself had received the same sentence. However, he managed to reduce his punishment to 12 years because he had a lot of money. Time continued to pass until Sangrak informed Taejong that Taejin had died by hanging himself. Sangrak learned this when he visited Taejin's boarding house to search for Taejong's bracelet. After that, Taejong attempted to end his life due to depression caused by Taejin's death and the routine torture by Doksu's gang. However, the officers managed to save Taejong, and it was recorded that he had attempted suicide 3 times in the same month. On Easter Day, the inmates visited the prison church and received a piece of cake. Taejong then became acquainted with an altar server named No. It turned out that No was an inmate who had long been held at Gwon prison. After receiving advice from No, Taejong diligently exercised and trained in martial arts. From there, Taejong gradually transformed into someone physically and mentally strong, allowing him to withstand the abuse from Doksu's gang. 5 years later, Taejong obtained a job as a plant caretaker in the prison. He then gave tips to a guard named Huan so that Huan could find a way to solve his plant problems. After that, Taejong accompanied No's departure as No was about to be released because his sentence had ended. At No's request, Taejong switched roles to become an altar server. Then one day, Taejong accompanied an inmate who was about to make a confession. When the time came, the inmate, whom we will call Baejin, shared his situation. It turned out that Baejin experienced the exact same condition as Taejong, namely helping to return a lost phone to a woman before eventually being imprisoned after being convicted of killing that woman. Furthermore, Baejin was also assisted by Sangrak. Now, if previously Sangrak told Taejong that Taejin had committed suicide, this time Sangrak told Baejin that his mother had done the same. However, Baejin did not believe it because he was sure his mother was not the type of person who would commit suicide under extreme stress. Baejin then revealed that Sangrak's name was not listed among public defenders. Because of this irregularity, Sangrak was believed to be involved in framing Taejong and Baejin so that it appeared as if they had committed murder. The next day, Taejong was shocked when Baejin was found dead by suicide. According to the examination results, Baejin had stuffed his mouth with pages of the Bible given by Taejong, causing him to suffocate and stop breathing. After that, Taejong was visited again by Sangrak. Remembering Baejin's confession, Taejong grew suspicious of Sangrak. At the peak of his suspicion, Taejong attacked Sangrak because he believed that his younger sibling had been killed by the lawyer. Without the guard's knowledge, Sangrak claimed that he had indeed killed Taejin. However, Sangrak believed that Taejong would never be able to prove it, because as a prisoner, it was impossible for Taejong to conduct an investigation. Meanwhile, a wealthy man named Myunggo took part in an auction. It was known that the item being auctioned was a statue created by the genius artist Arlili, which had an extremely high value. During a break in the auction, Myunggo contacted a statue collector named Johan. According to their agreement, Johan guaranteed that Myungho's child would be safe as long as Myunggo delivered the Arlili statue to Johan. When the auction resumed, Johan secretly joined as a bidder to pressure Myunggo. Because of this pressure, Myunggo was forced to bid 6 billion won, allowing him to finally purchase the statue. After obtaining the desired statue, Johan contacted Myunggo. It turned out that Baejin, who died by suicide using Bible pages, was a false suspect chosen by Johan to replace Myungho's child. With Baejin's death, Johan ensured that Myungho's child was now free from the threat of punishment and could return to living a normal life. That conversation ultimately proved that Johan was the mastermind behind the trap that caused innocent people to be punished. After that, Sangrak contacted Johan to report the problem involving Taejong. Johan then allowed Sangrak to eliminate Taejong because Taejong had already realized that he had been framed by someone. Around the same time, a man we will refer to as Naro was assigned the task of killing Taejong. Back at Gwon prison, Taejong faced several of Doksu's subordinates. As usual, they ordered Taejong to act as a punching bag. Tired of being a target of abuse, Taejong finally fought back and managed to defeat Doksu's men. Taejong then threatened Doksu, warning him not to dare cause trouble for him again. After the incident, rumors spread that Doksu had been beaten by Taejong. These rumors clearly tarnished Doksu's reputation as a powerful inmate. Doksu then assaulted an inmate who secretly mocked him for believing the rumors. Not long after, Doksu was approached by another powerful inmate named Gang Jae. It turned out that the two were enemies. Doksu ultimately cancelled a fight against Gang Jae because he was suddenly summoned by Park. While speaking with Doksu, Park emphasized his position as the prison warden. Park was also the organizer of an underground inmate fighting club. While Doksu was responsible for recruiting inmates to become fighters, Doksu was able to act arbitrarily because of his cooperation with Park. At the end of the meeting, Park ordered Doksu to stop endangering the lives of inmates. Time passed until Taejong received a new cellmate named Jian. When the moment was right, Jian carried out Doksu's order to kill Taejung. However, Taejung was able to anticipate the attack and successfully defeat Jian. Taejung then realized that Jian had been sent by Doksu so that Doksu could eliminate him without the guard's knowledge. During mealtime, Taejung brought up Doksu's crime of sexually assaulting his own younger sibling. Doksu immediately went attacked Taejung. The guards were eventually forced to use a stun device on Doksu because he was difficult to control. Afterward, Huan informed Taejung that Doksu had been thrown into solitary confinement for assaulting Taejung. Confirming Huan's suspicion, Taejung had deliberately provoked Doksu so that he would be locked in solitary confinement and could no longer disturb him. As time passed, Taejung secretly made a duplicate key that he planned to use to escape. By deceiving the guards, Taejung finally succeeded in creating the key. After dealing with Doksu, Taejung was suddenly surrounded by Gang Jae and his gang. Gang Jae then invited Taejung to become his ally, considering that they both shared the same hatred toward Doksu. After that, Taejung was selected as a fighter in an upcoming match. In the middle of the preparations, Taejung subdued Gang Jae's subordinates to make it clear that he had no intention of becoming Gang Jae's ally. Time continued to pass until the inmates were gathered to undergo vaccination. It turned out that the vaccination was to be carried out by Nara, who was disguised as a prison doctor. Nara then secretly replaced the vaccine with poison when he injected Taejung. After injecting Taejung, Nara sent a message to someone stating that Taejung would die within 30 minutes. After that, Taejung began attempting to escape from the prison using strategies and tools he had prepared long in advance. By taking advantage of gaps he already knew, Taejung tried to move as quickly as possible. Then, in the middle of his struggle, Taejung suddenly felt dizzy without realizing that the condition was triggered by the poison injected by Nara. After overcoming various obstacles, Taejung managed to enter the office that handled inmates' family visits. Through a diversion, Taejung succeeded in leaving the office and heading toward the prison exit gate. In the end, Taejung lost consciousness as the effects of the poison reached their peak. Meanwhile, Johan was watching a car racing tournament. It turned out that one of the racing teams in the competition was owned by Johan. After the race ended, Johan spoke with one of his team members. The team member was confused by Johan's way of thinking. The reason was that Johan wanted his team to attack a rival racer's car in order to increase their chances of winning. Some time later, Prison Warden Park was suddenly visited by the Commissioner General, who had long been Park's superior. The Commissioner General then allowed Johan to enter Park's office. Before leaving, the Commissioner General instructed Park to carry out any order given by Johan. When they began speaking privately, Johan brought up the condition of Gwon Prison. It turned out that the prison housed the most brutal criminals in South Korea. Johan then admitted that he was friends with influential people. One of them was the superior of the Commissioner General. Johan then gave Park 2 1-kilogram gold bars, each worth 200 million won, so that Park would be willing to carry out Johan's mission. Park would later receive 5 identical gold bars if he successfully completed the mission. It turned out that the mission was to gather 12 inmates who met the requirements listed in the documents. Then those 12 inmates would be sent to a location chosen by Johan. Park was also allowed to send inmates he disliked as long as they still met the requirements. Park finally promised to ensure the mission's success. Meanwhile, Taejung woke up in the prison clinic. According to the doctor's examination results, Taejung's body had been poisoned with rat poison. In addition to being treated quickly, Taejung's life was saved thanks to a vitamin K3 supplement that No had given him during a previous visit. Not long after, Huan visited Taejung. Through his investigation, Huan was able to uncover Taejung's attempt to escape from prison. The rat poison incident also made Huan realize that there was someone trying to harm Taejung. Now Huan would keep a closer watch on Taejung in order to protect him while also preventing him from attempting to escape again. As time went on, Park released Doksu from solitary confinement in order to maintain their cooperation. Before leaving, Park asked Doksu not to cause any trouble. However, Doksu ignored the request because he was desperate to take revenge on Taejung. Moments later, Taejung fought against Doksu's gang inside the clinic. Through his gang's attack, Doksu wanted to punish Taejung for having him locked in solitary confinement. At the same time, Huan was unable to stop the disturbance inside the clinic because the facility doors were tightly guarded by Doksu's men. After defeating all his opponents, Taejung became involved in a deadly duel with Doksu. As Doksu continued to resist, Taejung ultimately used Doksu's sharp weapon to slash his ear. This incident was discovered by Huan and the emergency response team who had just arrived at the scene and managed to restore order. As a result of his actions against Doksu, Taejung was thrown into solitary confinement. After that, 12 inmates including Taejung were forcibly sent to a place owned by Johan with their heads covered. The next day, Johan welcomed them all and promised them a reward. 5 years earlier, there was a man named Kyung who killed his friend while under the influence of drugs. It turned out that Kyung's friend was Naeong, the woman who was said to be Taejung's murder victim. Kyung then reported the matter to his father in hopes of escaping legal consequences. Meanwhile, through his company, Johan succeeded in winning a data center construction project. Johan then discovered several officials who criticized his company's victory. The reason was that Johan's company had won the project without following proper procedures. Johan then threatened to expose the officials' personal information if they dared to interfere with his company. In fact, Johan's company operated in the data security sector. It was possible that Johan possessed sensitive data that he could use to control or destroy his opponents. After that, Nara carried out Johan's order to cut off the index finger of an official who dared to criticize Johan. Johan then attached that index finger to part of his statue collection. In Johan's eyes, the severed human finger was the final piece that perfected his statue. Time continued to pass until Johan was contacted by a council member named Beck, who was Kyung's father, the real murderer of Naeong. Beck eventually hired Johan's security services so that Kyung could avoid legal punishment. In return, Beck was required to purchase a high-value artwork for Johan. After that, Johan entered his special room which he usually used to handle client matters. Through special cameras installed by his team, Johan was able to examine crime scenes without having to visit them directly. Johan then hacked city surveillance cameras to search for a suitable false suspect to replace Kyung. Johan ultimately chose Taejung because he spent the entire day delivering orders around Naeong's residence. As the next step, Johan monitored Taejung through both his team and CCTV footage. After fully understanding Taejung's activities and personal life, Johan and his team fabricated evidence to frame Taejung as the perpetrator. Johan paid close attention to every small detail so that it appeared Taejung had truly raped and murdered Naeong. Under Johan's orders, Nara killed Taejun and secured Taejung's bracelet that had fallen at Taejun's boarding house. It also appears that Nara took Taejung's semen from a discarded contraceptive device and then injected the fluid into Naeong's body. This was Johan's advanced manipulation technique to make Taejung replace Kyung as Naeong's killer. Back to the present time, we are shown what happened before the group of inmates was welcomed by Johan. When they first arrived at Johan's property, Taejung and the other inmates were given luxurious food and drinks. Following the instructions, the 12 inmates including Taejung entered their respective rooms. They began to wonder why they had been brought there and where that place actually was. When the situation became quiet, Taejung attempted to escape. However, his action was ultimately stopped by security guards carrying rifles. Realizing that the guards were constantly aiming at him, Taejung did not dare to attack when he was met by Johan. At the end of the meeting, Johan hinted that Taejung and the other 11 inmates would take part in a competition with a special prize. Moments later, Jian managed to persuade Taejung to meet Doksu. Taejung then prepared himself to fight after learning that Doksu intended to kill him for revenge. However, the guards successfully prevented the clash, forcing Doksu to postpone his plan to eliminate Taejung. The story then returns to the moment when Johan welcomed the 12 inmates. Here they were dressed in uniforms with individual serial numbers. Johan then announced that the 12 inmates would become participants in a car racing competition. The arena would be located in an abandoned factory complex. Johan then shot an inmate dead for attempting to escape from the competition. After that, Johan displayed a pile of money totaling 5 billion won as the prize for the winner of the race. Johan emphasized that the competition had no rules, meaning participants were allowed to use any method to achieve victory. After the briefing, the 12 inmates took cars from the garage according to the serial numbers on their uniforms. It turned out that each participant received a different car, and not all of them were suitable for racing. However, since there were no rules, they were free to modify the cars to overcome their weaknesses. Meanwhile, Kyung arrived at the location with a man following Johan's invitation. It turned out that the man accompanying Kyung was the one whose punishment had been replaced by Baejin. Johan eventually revealed that the inmates' car racing competition would become a gambling event operated through the dark web. During the race preparation period, Jian, who was still considered Doksu's subordinate, carried out his task of spying on Taejung. Without Doksu's knowledge, Jian cooperated with Taejung as a team. Taejung agreed to work with Jian because the man showed genuine seriousness. At this point, the participants had already formed their own teams to increase their chances of winning. The next day, Gang Jae became the first participant to meet Johan through a consultation session. Gang Jae then offered a deal to Johan. He promised that he could become a very useful person for Johan as long as Johan was willing to cooperate with him. Johan ultimately did not trust Gang Jae and rejected the deal after learning that Gang Jae had been involved in fraud cases 18 times. After that, it was Doksu's turn to meet Johan through a consultation. Doksu then asked Johan for permission to kill Taejong during the upcoming race so he could take his revenge. Hearing this, Johan finally allowed Doksu in order to increase the excitement of the race. That night, Doksu's men hijacked another participant's SUV and handed it over to Doksu. Not long after, Gang Jae witnessed the actions of Doksu's men and noticed that the security guards did nothing. At that moment, Gang Jae realized that car hijacking and violence were allowed during the preparation period. Meanwhile, Taejong was working on Jian's sports car. It turned out that among all the participants, only Jian had received a sports car, giving him a very strong chance of winning thanks to its high speed. As soon as they learned about Jian's car, Gang Jae's team immediately tried to hijack it by any means necessary. Taejong and Jian then attempted to escape using the sports car. Doksu, driving his hijacked SUV, chased Taejong with the mission of seizing the sports car. At the same time, Gang Jae also pursued Taejong with his relatively slower car. Taejong's escape attempt ultimately failed when his car was rammed by Doksu. Gang Jae then blocked Doksu as he was about to ram Taejong again. As Doksu and Gang Jae were about to fight over the sports car, the security guards finally intervened and managed to restore order. It turned out that Johan deliberately prevented a bigger conflict because he did not want the participants to get injured before the race. After the chaos, Jian's sports car suffered engine damage after being hit by Doksu, but Taejong managed to escape just as the car exploded. The next day, Taejong met Johan in a consultation session. While talking, Taejong used the watchtower to observe the factory complex that would serve as the race arena. It turned out that Johan organized the dangerous inmate car race purely for entertainment. Up to that point, Johan did not even remember that he had framed Taejong as a false suspect to replace Kyung. Johan then granted Taejong's request to give him vitamins. However, Taejong eventually refused the vitamins and left. Since that incident, Johan became extremely irritated with Taejong because he felt that Taejong had toyed with him. A few hours later, Taejong began modifying his car. As a brief explanation, some participants including Taejong had gained car mechanics skills through training in prison. The following day, Johan accepted an agreement to cooperate with Gang Jae. Johan then informed him that he had placed something interesting inside Gang Jae's car. As the race was about to begin, Johan announced that the prize money of 5 billion won would be awarded to the first participant to complete 20 laps. Johan also once again reminded everyone that the race had no rules, meaning participants were free to do anything to win. As soon as the race started, Kyung immediately placed a bet on Taejong. Shortly afterward, one participant suffered a fatal accident after activating the turbo engine in his car. As the competition grew more intense, Doksu managed to crash into Taejong's car and prepared to kill him. However, it turned out that the car was being driven by Jian, leaving everyone deceived. Not long after, Doksu discovered that Taejong had switched to using a motorcycle available at the location. As time went on, Gang Jae focused on chasing Taejong and was determined to kill him. Gang Jae then used a pistol provided by Johan to carry out his mission. While trying to escape, Taejong successfully attacked Gang Jae's car tire using a gas cylinder attached to his motorcycle. As a result of this attack, Gang Jae suffered a fatal accident. After the incident, Johan announced a new rule. Any participant who managed to secure Taejong's motorcycle would receive 5 billion won. From that moment on, all participants shifted to hunting Taejong in order to win the massive prize money. Through a desperate struggle, Taejong managed to overcome the attacks from every participant. Johan then picked up a long-range rifle to shoot Taejong. It turned out that Johan was extremely determined to kill Taejong because Taejong had dared to toy with him during their last meeting. While trying to avoid Johan's shots, Taejong activated the gas cylinder to trigger an explosion. As Johan's attention was diverted by the explosion, Taejong took his intended route to escape the factory complex. Johan eventually fired shots toward Taejong as he continued his escape. Despite being hit by gunfire, Taejong managed to get away. After that, Taejong collapsed unconscious when he arrived at No's electronics repair shop. It turned out that No had once told Taejong the address of his shop during a prison visit. As time passed, Taejong eventually regained consciousness and found that his wounds had been treated by No. It turned out that No's electronics repair shop also functioned as his home. At No's insistence, Taejong now stayed at the shop to hide. Meanwhile, prison warden Park reported a serious issue to Johan. The superiors of Park were now searching for the 12 inmates who had previously been forced to participate in Johan's deadly game. In response to this problem, Johan planned to carry out a manipulation so that it would appear the 12 inmates had died in a fatal accident while working as volunteer laborers. Several days later, Taejong hunted down Sangrak to take revenge because he believed that Sangrak had killed his younger sibling. Taejong managed to subdue Sangrak shortly after the lawyer contacted his associate to ask for help. When interrogated by Taejong, Sangrak did not dare to reveal Johan's position as his boss because he would certainly be killed if he exposed Johan. Taejong then searched Sangrak's belongings and found a file about a woman named Hunjong. Sangrak eventually admitted that Hunjong would be framed as a false suspect to replace the real murderer. It turned out that false suspects who were framed like Taejong and Hunjong were referred to as models. Furthermore, Sangrak confirmed that his team was constantly monitoring Hunjong so they could fabricate evidence to turn her into a suspect. While Taejong was still extracting information, Nara arrived to fulfill Sangrak's request. From there, Taejong had to engage in a fierce fight against Nara. After Taejong won the duel, Sangrak revealed that Taejong's sibling had actually been killed by Nara. Not long after, Nara managed to escape after throwing a time bomb. Taejong eventually managed to leave the location while carrying Hunjong's file, while Sangrak died at the scene due to the explosion. Time continued to pass until Taejong informed No about Hunjong. They did not want Hunjong to suffer the same fate as Taejong, whose life had been destroyed since becoming a victim of a frame-up. Now Taejong and No began working together to prevent Hunjong from becoming another victim. Meanwhile, we are shown that Hunjong is the owner of a hair salon business and has a young daughter. Later that night, Johan found Nara in a secluded area not monitored by CCTV. It turned out that Nara already knew Johan intended to kill him for failing to stop Taejong. However, in the end, Johan managed to turn the tables and kill Nara to punish his failure. After that, Johan cleared a police detective named Ilguk of a bribery case. Ilguk then accepted a mission to capture Taejong because Johan promised to promote him if he succeeded. On the other side, Taejong installed several hidden cameras provided by No around Hunjong's salon. Through this method, Taejong hoped to protect Hunjong from threats while also identifying spies who were monitoring her. Some time later, Taejong subdued a delinquent woman named Inbi who attempted to steal No's money at the shop. Upon seeing this incident, No clarified the situation to Taejong. It turned out that Inbi was No's daughter who often demanded money. Inbi did not hesitate to use dirty methods if her demands were not met. After that, Taejong visited Hunjong's salon and only found her daughter, Soyeon. Taejong then rushed to look for Hunjong at the location mentioned by Soyeon, because it turned out that Hunjong was returning a lost phone without realizing that it was a trap. At the same time, Ilguk and guard Huan visited No's shop with the mission of searching for Taejong. While conducting the interrogation, Ilguk inspected the shop to look for clues. However, during the process, Ilguk accidentally peeked at Inbi who had just finished changing her clothes. Inbi eventually chased Ilguk and Huan away for behaving improperly. Meanwhile, Hunjong met a woman to return her lost phone. Without Hunjong's knowledge, the woman, whom we will call Ji, was a member of the team that fabricated false evidence. Not long after, Taejong arrived and managed to snatch the phone that was about to be returned to Ji. Taejong was then able to confirm that the phone was part of a trap to frame Hunjong as a false suspect, also known as a model. Through the trapped phone, Taejong managed to contact Ji. In order to get the phone back, Ji agreed to pay a large ransom demanded by Taejong. As agreed, Ji sent the ransom money through a courier arranged by Taejong. Ji then retrieved the trapped phone at a location chosen by Taejong. Shortly after that, the head of the false evidence fabrication team, a man named Wu, was speaking with Johan. Wu admitted that the phone intended to frame Hunjong had been stolen. However, Wu claimed that he had managed to recover the phone by paying ransom to the culprit. Even so, Johan considered Wu's action a major mistake. On Johan's orders, a woman named Chungri eventually killed Wu as punishment. Meanwhile, Taejong continued to follow Ji until she entered a factory managed by Wu. Taejong then subdued a guard and took his uniform to disguise himself. After that, Taejong secretly recorded the activities of the workers as they fabricated false evidence. It turned out that the fake evidence was created using discarded personal items belonging to the model. In this case Hunjong. Moments later, No contacted Taejong to report that there would be an attack on Hunjong's salon. After communicating with No, Taejong was suspected by the workers because employees were not supposed to use mobile phones while working. Once his disguise was exposed, Taejong was forced to fight them. After successfully escaping, Taejong immediately rushed to Hunjong's salon to save her. Taejong managed to divert Chungri's attention just as she was about to kill Hunjong. When she heard police sirens approaching from a distance, Chungri immediately fled. It turned out that the police were heading to Hunjong's salon to follow up on a report made by No. As time passed, Inbi took Hunjong and her child to a friend's house to hide. The two of them planned to stay there until the situation was completely safe. On the other hand, council member Beck and his son Kyung met Johan at his house. They were furious because Johan had still not been able to stop Taejung. They demanded that Johan resolve the Taejung problem as soon as possible, because the longer Taejung remained free, the greater the risk that Kyung's status as the real murderer of Naeong would be exposed. After the meeting, Johan grew to hate Beck and Kyung for daring to insult and threaten him. As retaliation, Johan planned a strategy to bring Taejung and Kyung together, hoping it would lead to a life-threatening conflict between them. The next day, Taejung and No watched the news about the murder of an award-winning pianist. Based on information from the trap phone, Taejung was able to confirm that Han Jong would be framed as a fake suspect in the pianist's murder case. That night, Taejung went to the factory to look for Ji. However, Ji and the staff there had already been killed. At the same location, Nara's severed head was also found. It seemed that Johan had killed everyone in the factory because Taejung had discovered the secret place. While examining the scene, Taejung found an envelope filled with money that was meant as payment for his actions. Moreover, Taejung received a message stating that Kyung was the real murderer of Naeong. The sender of the message promised to provide clues so Taejung could find Kyung. The following day, Taejung received a message about the time and location of Kyung's upcoming party. Taejung did not realize that the person guiding him to Kyung's location was actually Johan. As time went on, Taejung contacted Huan and informed him that he would capture Naeong's real killer. Taejung then immediately ended the call when he heard Ilguk's voice. After that, Ilguk received support from the police and discovered evidence that Taejung was carrying a phone given by No. Now Ilguk planned to track the phone's location to find Taejung. Meanwhile, No and Inbi searched for Taejung because he had not returned. Just like Ilguk, they eventually tracked the location of the phone No had given to Taejung in order to find him. At the same time, a gangster boss we will call Sukong was torturing his subordinate for making a serious mistake. Not long after, Kyung met Sukong, who had long been his close friend. With Sukong's help, Kyung was able to hold the party whose time and location were already known by Taejung. Elsewhere, Johan was attending a memorial ceremony for the death anniversary of his parents. It turned out that Johan often suffered from shortness of breath due to trauma and the fatal incident involving his parents that happened many years ago. After the ceremony ended, Johan met his head butler, whom we will call Jong-in. Despite having lost her sight, Jong-in was highly trusted by Johan because she was extremely loyal and could understand Johan's wishes. After that, Chungri secretly killed members of Johan's important family on Jong-in's orders. After disabling Johan's aunt, Chungri assisted Jong-in so she could easily kill her. It turned out that Jong-in orchestrated the murder so the aunt could not take over Johan's company shares. Shockingly, Johan had never known that Jong-in was actually his biological mother. Jong-in had gone blind because Johan had poured mercury into her eyes while she was sleeping. According to Jong-in's belief, Johan did this so he could keep Jong-in as his head butler. In the end, Jong-in killed the aunt for what she believed was Johan's own good. That night, Taejung approached Kyung on the ship where the party was being held. Taejung tried to provoke Kyung into making a confession while secretly recording him so he could obtain proof that Kyung was Naeong's real killer. Unfortunately, Taejung's plan failed. Shortly after, Sukong ordered his men to stop Taejung so Kyung could continue partying. Although Taejung managed to defeat them, he was eventually overpowered by Sukong. Taejung then woke up inside the ship, bound with duct tape. After that, Kyung contacted Johan to inform him that he had successfully captured Taejung. Kyung then began to wonder how Taejung had managed to find his location. At Kyung's request, Johan agreed to return the money that had been used to hire him to frame Taejung. A few minutes later, Huan's team arrived at the party location to look for Taejung. As soon as Kyung learned about the raid, he immediately went to find Taejung, because if Taejung was found by the police, Kyung's status as the real murderer of Naeong could be exposed. At the same time, Taejung managed to escape thanks to help from No, who had already been at the location looking for Taejung. Inbi then successfully subdued Ilguk and Huan when they tried to arrest Taejung. After that, Inbi took them to her friend Hanbyol's house to hide Taejung. The next day, Taejung and No talked about Kyung. Here, Taejung believed that he had become a suspect in Naeong's murder case because Kyung had framed him. Taejung eventually agreed to Kyung's request to meet in the near future. Meanwhile, Johan met Kyung's mother at a luxury restaurant. Johan then admitted that he was Kyung's friend. Not long after, Beck arrived to celebrate his wedding anniversary with Kyung's mother. When Kyung's mother went to the restroom, Johan and Beck immediately spoke in a tense atmosphere. In a threatening tone, Johan emphasized that he could find Beck anytime he wanted. Even though Beck had once acted harshly, Johan still offered help to protect Kyung from Taejung. However, Baek firmly refused and warned Johan not to do anything reckless. That night, Johan faced a group of intruders who tried to kill him. With his swordsmanship skills, Johan managed to kill them all in a short time. Johan then concluded that Baek had sent the intruders as a warning so that Johan would not dare to terrorize Baek's family. On the other hand, No shared his dark secret while talking with Taejung. While drunk, No had a fierce argument with his wife, who was also Inbi's mother. No then unknowingly caused a fire in the house that ended up killing his wife. This incident was what sent No to prison after he was convicted of killing his own wife. Since then, Inbi had hated No, and they lived separately for 10 years. However, their relationship began to improve after they worked together to help Taejung. The next day, Taejung used the warehouse at Hanbyul's house to prepare an explosive triggering device. It turned out that Taejung planned to bring this device as a weapon when he later met Kyung. Not long after, Inbi showed her concern by asking Taejung to eat right away. Seeing this, Hanbyul began to wonder whether Inbi liked Taejung. A few minutes later, Inbi went shopping at a nearby convenience store and accidentally met Ilguk. It turned out that Ilguk had brought a police team on standby around Hanbyul's house to search for Taejung. After tricking Ilguk so she would not be arrested, Inbi immediately rushed to Hanbyul's house to warn Taejung. Inbi had actually already called No's phone to give a warning, but No did not answer because his phone was not ringing. Upon arriving, Inbi escaped together with No. While Taejung fled on his motorcycle, they both agreed not to reveal Taejung's location, forcing Ilguk to look for another way. No then emphasized to Huan that Taejung was actually a victim of a setup. After that, No and Inbi returned to Hanbyul's house. They then met Johan without knowing who he really was. Meanwhile, Johan had already attacked Hanbyul because she refused to reveal Taejung's location. Johan eventually subdued No and Inbi because they would not disclose Taejung's whereabouts. With his advanced surveillance equipment, Johan had already known that No and Inbi had been helping Taejung all this time. That night, Taejung arrived at the meeting location with Kyung. In order to clear up Taejung's misunderstanding, Kyung explained that the person who had actually framed Taejung was Johan, while Kyung was merely a client who had hired Johan's services so that his punishment could be transferred to someone else. Regardless of the reason, Taejung continued to pursue Kyung because he was still one of the causes behind the destruction of Taejung's life. After ordering Kyung to leave, Sukong and his gang began trying to subdue Taejung. When he failed to stop Kyung from escaping, Taejung used his motorcycle to chase him. At the same time, Sukong and his gang chased Taejung with the mission of killing him as revenge. Taejung was then hit by an attack that sent him crashing into Sukong's gang's car. Even though he was cornered, Taejung eventually managed to kill Sukong and eliminate his men. Taejung then took over Sukong's car so he could continue chasing Kyung. In the middle of the gunfight, Taejung executed a trick that successfully stopped Kyung's car. While still attacking Kyung, Taejung was forced to flee because a truck was speeding toward him from the opposite direction. The truck then crashed into Kyung's car, while Taejung got into an accident as he tried to avoid it. Once he was able to get back on his feet, Taejung approached Kyung, who was in critical condition. Kyung then refused to admit his status as Naeong's real murderer. After Kyung lost consciousness, Taejung answered a call from Johan on Kyung's phone. Johan then offered 5 billion won as a reward for Taejung's hard struggle so far. Johan also offered to restore Taejung's reputation so that he would no longer be regarded as Naeong's murderer in the future. Moreover, Johan emphasized that he had killed Nara, meaning Taejung should finally be able to get justice for his younger sibling's death at Nara's hands. Despite how tempting Johan's offer was, Taejung rejected it without hesitation. His reason was that Taejung was now determined to take revenge on Johan for setting a trap that had destroyed his life. Some time later, Johan subdued Baek and killed a woman who was suspected to be Baek's mistress. While Baek was in critical condition, Johan revealed his dark secret. Back in his teenage years, Johan had killed both of his parents because he opposed their decision to donate most of their assets to a temple. Johan then reported to the police that his parents had been killed by an escaped convict hiding around his neighborhood. The police eventually shot the convict dead when he tried to escape during arrest. From that moment on, Johan became interested in framing innocent people as suspects in murder cases. After finishing his confession, Johan killed Baek for daring to attack him earlier. Johan's dispatched team then arrived to erase all traces. Some time later, No was arrested by the police in connection with Baek's murder case. During the interrogation process, detectives presented various pieces of evidence that led to No being named a murder suspect. No was eventually detained even though he repeatedly insisted that he had not killed Baek. After that, Taejung went to No's electronics repair shop after hearing about his arrest. Taejung then disabled the CCTV at the location so that Johan could no longer use the cameras to spy on them. Not long after, Taejung found In-B cleaning graffiti on the shop door that contained hateful messages targeting No. Taejung then reassured In-B that No was actually innocent. As In-B mourned her father's fate, Taejung left with a mission to set things right. Meanwhile, Johan had just completed his 100th sculpture. It turned out that Johan was actually the genius artist Arlili, whose sculptures always sold for fantastic prices at every auction. Johan liked to create sculptures with expressions of suffering and despair, because those faces reflected the condition of the people he had framed. On Jong-in's suggestion, Johan planned to reveal his identity as Arlili when releasing his 100th sculpture for auction. As time went on, Taejung contacted Johan. Taejung was able to guess that No's arrest was part of Johan's trap. After that, Taejung went to an emergency phone booth as instructed by Johan. Inside the booth was the knife Johan had used to kill Beck, which was meant for Taejung. Through these two items, Johan gave Taejung two choices. The first was to turn himself in as Beck's murderer while carrying the knife as evidence, and the second was to use the check to demand ransom money of any amount. It turned out that Johan intended to use the check to recruit Taejung. Johan also implied that framing No was a counterattack against Taejung. After ending the communication, Johan grew curious about which choice Taejung would make. As time passed, No reflected on his past while being confined in his cell. In truth, No had once been very close to In-B. No was then sentenced to 20 years in prison for causing a fire that killed his wife. Later, while he was an inmate, No scolded In-B for hitting a friend, even though In-B had acted because the victim had insulted both In-B and No. Not wanting In-B to continue being judged, No eventually forced In-B to stop considering him as her father. From that moment on, In-B hated No, until they later reconciled thanks to Taejung's presence. Returning to the present, No decided to accept the status of Beck's murderer. No secretly did this for In-B's safety. Around the same time, Taejung turned himself into the police while bringing the knife used to kill Beck as evidence. Taejung firmly stated that he was the real murderer of Beck, which finally led to No being released. After returning to the shop, No shared a touching moment with In-B. After that, Johan visited Taejung, who was being detained. Having grown tired of Johan's traps, Taejung no longer cared about Johan's motives or background. Taejung finally called Johan an immoral child. Offended by the insult, Johan ordered Park to make sure Taejung would die when he was later transferred to Gwon prison. The next day, Hwan obtained permission to pick up Taejung by using an emergency transfer procedure. On the way to Gwon prison, Hwan revealed that fellow guards had been working harder ever since Taejung once managed to escape. Taejung then implied that he had deliberately turned himself in as Beck's murderer in order to save No. After that, Hwan successfully used a trick to get the driver out of the vehicle for a moment. Once the opportunity arose, Hwan immediately took control of the vehicle and drove Taejung to a deserted area. Hwan then freed Taejung because he already knew that Taejung was innocent. Now, Hwan hoped that Taejung could fix the life that had been ruined since he became a victim of a trap. After leaving the location, Hwan reflected on the moment that made him willing to help Taejung. Previously, Taejung had secretly sent the results of his investigation to Hwan. From this, Hwan learned about the fake models and fabricated evidence, as well as Kyung's status as the real murderer of Naeong. After that, Hwan had also overheard Park's conversation, allowing him to discover that Taejung was going to be killed once he was imprisoned at Gwon prison. Returning to the present, Hwan punched Park for being involved in a trap that endangered Taejung's life. On the other hand, Taejung managed to find No and In-B at the pickup point thanks to directions from Hwan. After returning to the shop, the three of them agreed on a mission to stop Johan. Taejung then moved No and In-B to his plant shop so their location would not be discovered by Johan. After that, Taejung's group discussed the results of their investigation while devising a strategy to stop Johan. They finally succeeded in uncovering Johan's secret identity as Arlili. Meanwhile, Johan attended a special exhibition aimed at showcasing Arlili's 100th sculpture before it was auctioned on the same day. In the end, Arlili's latest sculpture was sold for 10 billion won. The host then announced that the buyer of the 100th sculpture was an auction participant located in a private room. Johan postponed his plan to reveal his identity as Arlili because he wanted to immediately find out who the buyer was. Upon arriving at the private room, Johan discovered that the buyer was Kyung, who was actually still alive and undergoing treatment. Based on Kyung's report, the police arrested Johan on suspicion of murder, criminal conspiracy, and destruction of evidence. It turned out that before attending the special exhibition, Kyung had cooperated with Taejung. Kyung made this decision so he could take revenge on Johan for killing Beck, his father. As time went on, Johan was eventually detained in a cell. Not long after, a group of thugs stormed the police station and attacked all the officers on site. Ilguk also became a victim while he was asking Johan for help. When the moment was right, Johan was freed by Doksu, who had orchestrated the attack earlier. It turned out that Doksu carried out the action at Park's request, which itself came from Johan. At the end of the meeting, Johan assured Doksu that he would soon be able to meet Taejung to take his revenge. After that, Taejung disguised himself as an officer responsible for transferring Arlili's sculpture to Johan's house. While Taejung was busy with his mission, Johan managed to kill Kyung quietly in the hospital room. As a result of this incident, the police reached a dead end in handling Johan's case. On the other side, Chungri came to the plant shop and attacked No. Inbi then fought desperately to stop Chungri in order to protect her father. Despite resisting with all her strength, Inbi was eventually defeated by Chungri. Worse still, No was now severely injured due to Chungri's attack. Shifting to Taejung, he successfully infiltrated the advanced room that Johan usually used to design his traps. After taking the data storage device, Taejung immediately left the location because the security system would soon trap him inside. Then, as he was about to leave Johan's house, Taejung was confronted by Doksu. After delivering his threats, Doksu ordered many of his subordinates to kill Taejung. After defeating all of Doksu's men, Taejung had to fight Doksu himself. With great effort, Taejung finally managed to defeat Doksu. Not long after, Taejung had to face Johan. It turned out that Johan had already known about Taejung's arrival at his house, so he immediately rushed home after killing Kyung. Johan then showed his sword, which contained a flash drive holding data of Johan's crimes. Furthermore, Johan confirmed that the data storage device taken from his advanced room would automatically erase its data as soon as it was accessed. This meant that Taejung's attempt to steal the device ended in failure. As Taejung prepared to fight Johan, Chungri arrived while holding Inbi hostage. Johan then promised to let Inbi live on the condition that Taejung kill Doksu. After Taejung refused, Johan killed Doksu and slashed Taejung's leg. Now Johan was determined to kill Taejung and planned to frame Inbi as Taejung's murderer. After saving Inbi, Taejung fought against Chungri and Johan at the same time. Despite being seriously injured, Taejung eventually managed to defeat Chungri. Taejung and Johan then fought with everything they had inside the advanced room. Johan tried to break Taejung's spirit by playing a video of Taejung's younger sibling being killed by Nara. However, the video instead ignited Taejung's determination, allowing him to finally subdue Johan. Taejung then chose to let Johan live so he could suffer the consequences of his crimes. Taejung finally left and took the flash drive from the sword, which contained evidence of Johan's crimes. 1 week later, the media reported that Johan had died in a fire at his house. Thanks to the flash drive handed over by Taejung, the police successfully exposed Johan's crimes as a master manipulator who engineered cases for wealthy clients. This news was watched by Inbi and No, whose conditions were gradually improving. Meanwhile, the court declared that Taejung was not guilty in Naeong's murder case, allowing his reputation to be fully restored. After that, Taejung visited his mother's and siblings' graves to show that he was finally doing well. 6 months later, Taejung was able to return to his normal daily life. He interacted warmly with Inbi and Huan. Time continued to pass until Taejung was running his own outdoor cafe surrounded by ornamental plants. It turned out that Inbi and No were now working at the cafe. As Taejung enjoyed his peaceful life, a mysterious figure appeared who possessed an advanced room similar to Johan's, and the series finally came to an end. Thank you very much for watching this story summary until the end. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and activate the notification bell, and see you in the next story summary. Adios.